Figured it'd be fun to just do kind of a impromptu box top demo. So, I looked at the video that I did previously, just kind of skimmed through it, and we're just going to start off by extruding, scale it out just a little bit, extrude it in, scale it in, maybe control numpad plus to grow it. We'll control click on curve extract to make this its own mesh, and we'll just delete the rest. And I'll select this face in the middle, and using spacebar, we're just going to search for poke. And there we are with our buddy poke faces. And we'll just grab these, and I'm going to shift click mark to go into select tool, and we're just going to press B to bevel. And we see that life's just a little bit different now when it comes to bevel. Usually I have to press Control B and solely my bevel, but this time I was able to keep the sanctity of my default bevel settings. So didn't want to do that. We'll just delete that face and shift tilde to grab the border. We'll just press EZ, SZ, 0 to flatten it, and we'll just press Shift S, snap our cursor there. Maybe press Alt X, and we want to do a symmetrize, but we can't do it in simple mode. So first we got to jump to advanced, and we'll choose our pivot point to be our cursor. And we also see that symmetry doesn't support symmetrization using the 3D cursor. Interesting. Good thing modifier apply exists. I always wonder why there's multiple versions of symmetry inside of hops, but their uses are always something that becomes more apparent as you experiment with different types of workflows. So because of the way modifier apply works, it'll just apply a modifier, make an empty, delete it, and just do that all in a split second while keeping the origin intact. So now we're ready to work. So last time we were talking about using alignment with a plane, but now we have line box, and I don't want wedge, so I'll press Control D, turn that off, and also turn off persistent because I don't want it, really don't want it. And we'll just begin doing our cuts, and we see that line box just really makes short work of working at an angle compared to just drawing a box, and that's just a fraction of it compared to the myriad of improvements that's come with this version of Box Cutter. For example, let's go to box and draw a box, and we see that it's already oriented pretty good, except right there it's also drawn kind of bad. And this is because if we press Alt V and we look at the wireframe, we can see what the longest wire is, or the longest edge, which is currently or actually I'm using that local. Let's try longest edge. So longest edge is actually the one that I want to use. My apologies for my inaccuracy, and we'll just continue working this particular side of the shape, just performing cuts, T, add a little solidification, and eventually we'll just mirror it over to the other side. But for now we can just imagine what it would look like if we were just working symmetrically. One of my favorite shapes that I like to use in Box Cutter also is wedge. I don't get a lot of opportunities to talk about it, but man, do I use this thing a lot. And that's because you can just use it to really just break these flatty edges just very fast. And I'm always pondering how I can design a task around making a wedge that automatically fits between two edges and just perfectly wedges it, allowing me to just convert it into a bevel. But sometimes I'll describe a task and all that can be done is just looking at me. It's like, I'm just going to look at you. So we'll just mirror this to view, and we're good to go. And one of the good things about HardOps this update round is that we also improved on view align. So if I deselected and pressed Q, we have align view, and if I Control Shift scroll, I can just jump to any empty. That was a bit of an oversight from us at the beginning. For some reason we had it filtered to just the empties that you were creating through it, but I forgot all about the. So right here I'm wedging, but let's say I didn't want to wedge. I could just press W. Let's try that again. I was pretty sure the hotkey of W actually turned wedge off, but that's fine. We'll just roll with the punches. And because we're using a line box system, that means that we have a lot more versatility when it comes to being able to maneuver around and just draw these shapes quickly at whatever angle we need. So, at the time that line box was created, I found it to be very integral to the work that was being done at hand. However, even now, active only still has its uses. Not saying that it's just completely out of date, just saying that it's not as much a thing now that we're improving on the alignment inherently inside of Box Cutter. In fact, let's go back to just regular old box, and I'm pretty sure that normally the alignment would be misconfigured in some of the classic versions, but now we're able to have it auto orient to the nearest line that you're drawing with if you're using the longest edge, or I guess nearest edge to be more accurate. I'm actually doing a terrible job of just describing these things, but you know, lately when it comes to using Box Cutter, I haven't even been thinking of so much the minutia of things. Just sometimes if my orientation is wrong when I draw a box, I just toggle the other settings and voila, I'm back in business. So I've pretty much detailed the hell out of this thing. Or have I? You know, we can snap our view right here, bring up InGun. And so now that the taper saga is done, you know, you might be wondering what's next for us, or you know, what are we going to be doing from here? And there's already a pretty massive task being undertaken that I'm excited to you know, show when that time comes, but will probably take place either over the course of this release or be the beginning of the next release. But will definitely be a big game changer. You know, I always tell people internally working with us that our work is a series of makes and remakes and corrections. You know, like our work is never done. We just do it to a level, and then the game changes, and then we have to do it to this new level that exists. And sometimes we're that level, or sometimes that level's being specified alternatively by someone else. So, you know, we just have to keep up with the times. And so as a result, you know, there's things in the works. There's always things in the works. In fact, one of the things I'm excited about for the next version is the addition of new shapes. We have quite a few new shapes that we want to add to Box Cutter. However, I feel that adding them at this time would just be a bit extra. So we should probably think about how we want to design to keep the D pie around it before actually just rolling that out. Since Alt Scroll, even though I found it to be a very good way to work, there are a contingency of users who have found that just isn't their cup of tea. So, you know, anytime those sort of things happen, I'm always thinking about the alternative. Here I am trying to draw the shape, it's just not working out, and that's because my orientation method is just not right. However, once I get it to nearest edge, it looks correct, but you know, it's just such a weird wedge. I'm going to shift that to live, and we'll just grab this single edge and just... Oh, I forgot my orientation is very nuts. I'm definitely nowhere near being frontal or straight with this thing. So to get all weird with it at this angle, I probably would need to drop it empty in there and then really just start working it. But we're keeping it chill, you know, just boxtop remake version 2. And so, you know, having bevel support wedge I found to be really nice. And one of the things coming to the next Box Cutter is a new version of wedge. You know, the current wedge does a job very good. However, I feel that there are even better ways that we could be handling it. In fact, wedge was just kind of a byproduct of Linebox. You know, after it was created, it was like, you know, it's just a little math fin dangling to get you your dream of wedge. I was like, let's do it. Let's do that. However, I do want a wedge that can be drawn in the form of a box. So that's always one of the things on my personal wish list when it comes to Box Cutter. So we're just cutting our wedges, just really detailing the hell out of this thing like there's no tomorrow. You know, always select your shape before you cut it, or else you're going to draw a make. You know, I write a lot of emails about that. Sometimes I get people who are, I guess the easiest word is frumpy with a quality of response at times, but oh my God, I hope no one ever gets the amount of emails a day that I do. You know, especially when all you want to do is just model. So I'm always working on it, but I do know that, you know, the docs is something that needs to be expanded. So here I am looking at this beautiful quadrant, and I want to mirror it to the other side. So nearest thing I'm thinking of is pressing Alt X and pressing A to add a new mirror. You know, we might press X to reset it and then press A to add a new mirror because we don't want an empty to be created. And we'll just mirror it across the X, and we'll press X to use the last mirror modifier that we just created that's here, and then Let's try that again. There we go. Now we're able to mirror it. For some reason it looked like it selected the one previous to it. So now we have this mirrored over to the other side. And the cool thing is that I could just draw a line box just over all of this, right? And press W to get out of wedge. I don't know what's going on with the wedge hotkey toggle, but you know what? We'll just roll with it. In fact, let's not. Let's go in our Control D, where there should be an option for us to toggle off wedge, but it looks like we'll have to use it there. And that means that whenever we drag this dot, it should actually have reset it, but it looks like that didn't even happen. I feel like I'm going through a bit of a box cutter prank. I just don't want to redraw this line, but it's fine. Let's just redraw it. I was being lazy, but we will just keep going. So we will draw, press Y, and now that piece has been extracted. And that means that I could just, what am I orienting to, and what is my draw method? Let's try that again. And we see that that almost works. It actually draws it at a kind of a strange angle. So there's always a curiosity to be checked into internally, and it looks like today's curiosity will be brought to us by the customer call. I bet with the amount of matrix solving that's been going on lately that we could probably solve that matrix just a little bit better as far as how it calculates the extraction after the fact using the line box or something, if you're listening out there. However, continuing on, let's just recall this previous one, and I actually want to radial array it around the 3D cursor. It might just let me, but I'm probably going to need to just use a little box. Just start cutting some areas off. A lot of areas off. Yeah, maybe something like that's manageable. And then if we control click radial array inside of HardOps, we can just lower the amount of times it goes around. This one's fake, but these two, they're the truth. And there we are, looking at another box top, except this box top is out of control with the detail. In fact, there's so many possibilities as far as what could be done with this. That's why I'm looking at this. It's like an alien spaceship or something. But let's go in here and we just choose taper, and we just play with taper. You know, I just get weird with taper and hops now. You know, sometimes I'll just taper a shape and just look at that and think, you know what, that's fine. You know, and I deserve to be shot. You know, Lee Harvey Oswald, if you're out there. No, I'm kidding. We'll press I and set, and I'll just select this loop and delete everything else. And we will just maybe solidify that. So here we are looking at our box top V2. However, this thing is like too crazy for us to print or send out or do anything with. So time for a take two on that.